mama and papa to us. Hers was a home birth, as was common at that time, and fortunately for all of us born in Mexico, we were all born healthy and strong. There were no complications in any of our births, thank God. Sylvia was a beautiful child with curly brown hair, beautiful brown eyes with long curly lashes. Her dimples charmed everyone she met, and her sweet and adaptable disposition made people want to hang out with her. I remember my mother telling us that neighbors asked her if she could be persuaded to give her daughter up for adoption, since she had so many children anyway. One more or less wouldn't make much difference. When relating the story to us, my mother said, shaking her head in disbelief, do these people think my daughter is a puppy to be given away to a good home? People are so thoughtless. When Sylvia was around 2 or 3 years old, my father immigrated to the United States because of financial hardship. Before he left, he told us, in order for us to be together in the U.S., the attorney advised your mother and I that we have to demonstrate to the U.S. immigration that the family is financially stable. So I need to get a job and find a home so the family will never ask for charity. He and my mother worked hard, saving and scrimping to make our trip to the U.S. come true. And on July 23, 1952, their dreams became a reality. We arrived in Los Angeles early that morning. Being in a new country, reunited with our dad, and living in a house in the land of plenty was wonderful for all of us to be a family again, in our own house on 38th Street. We were free to run and play without us making others angry because we were noisy. But living in a new country brought its own problems. There was a new language to be learned, new customs, new culture. It was tough on all of us. School was especially difficult for the younger siblings like Sylvia, who, because she was so young, tended to mix Spanish and English when learning to read. This led to much confusion in developing academic skills. Sylvia was good-natured, rolled with the punches, flexible, and got along with everyone. She loved her family and never had a bad word to say about anyone. She showed a creative side. She loved to draw, dressed stylishly, made sure her hair, which at the time was very curly, flattered her. Because I was 3.5 years older, Sylvia looked up to me and listened to my stories of school friends. I remember confiding in her about a boy I liked and wanted to see him after school without my parents' knowledge. She helped me get together with him and after school, and she never told my parents. We kept each other's secrets. We loved lying awake into the night, talking about friends, good times and problems we may have had. She always listened and asked questions. I don't think my parents realized some of us had academic challenges, which they attempted to help us because they were conscientious, good parents, even though they really did not know how to help. I remember my father sitting down with Sylvia, trying to help her learn to read. The sessions were frustrating for both of them. Many years later, when Sylvia enrolled in college, she understood her problems in learning were due to significant learning disabilities. It was then she confided in me that she went through school unable to fully grasp her education. But my sister had another side, as my sister Louie talked about. She was a very free spirit. She dictated freedom to do things her way. After high school graduation, she decided she was going to tour the U.S. in the company of only her dogs. This was not easy for a Latino family to accept. My father said, "You cannot go," but she left anyway. To make matters worse, upon her return from hitchhiking across the U.S., she decided to move to Oceanside and totally move out of our parents' home. Our parents were unhappy with her, but eventually made the peace. Sylvia demonstrated she was independent and self-sufficient. She found a job and proved to my parents she could live on her own in a town far away from them. But they expected her to return because daughters remain home until marriage. But of course, Sylvia had other ideas. Her mind was made up and courageously and firmly carried through on her plans. In keeping with her adventuresome spirit, she met someone named Tom while living in Oceanside, fell madly in love with him, and brought Marlena into the world. When Sylvia learned she was pregnant, she was elated. And when Marlena was born, she was crazy in love with her. Marlena was a beautiful child, alert, sweet, with strawberry blonde hair and beautiful hazel eyes. Sadly, Sylvia's relationship with Tom did not work out. She lost touch with him, and years later learned he died in a motorcycle accident. We were all very sorry to hear about the accident. My sister stayed in Oceanside, but she also lived in San Marcos, Vista, Escondido. She was that adventuresome, energetic spirit. Sylvia loved freedom, not to have to answer to anyone. In her early 20s, she worked at a variety of jobs, but all the while she continued her college education. While taking a class at junior college, she met Ernie, who she said reminded her of our oldest brother, Cito, a handsome, charismatic person. She fell in love with Ernie, and when he proposed, they married and had two beautiful, vivacious daughters, Rachel and Vicky. Sylvia and I were pregnant at the same time. She with Rachel, me with my darling Jackie. Sylvia, always so flexible and spur of the moment, we got together often as best friends, often comparing our tummies to see whose was bigger and who had gained more weight and who was eating what. Rachel, her charming daughter, and my sweet Jackie are a little more than a week apart. Throughout this time, however, Sylvia pursued her college education. She demonstrated determined, quiet strength that despite the academic challenges, she persevered, and the academic obstacles only made her more determined to forge ahead and continued as planned. One of her biggest passions in life was to be a good role model for her daughters. Despite her academic struggles, she exerted herself, and she did well academically, ultimately getting the prized Bachelor of Arts degree, followed by a teaching credential. She always dreamt of becoming a kindergarten teacher. Her dream a reality, she worked for the Oceanside School District. Sylvia was thrilled to finally become a teacher she aspired to be. Her motivation, she said, was to help children like herself who were underprivileged and had a hard time learning. While teaching kindergarten in a lower socioeconomic school, she enjoyed and learned from her kindergarten students, whom she diligently tutored before and after school. She and I had many discussions where she confided that she identified with both the children and the parents, saying these parents often don't know how to parent and don't know how to help their children. This reminded me of the years she and my father struggled together. He to teach her, she to learn. She continued, I frequently ask parents to come after school and I end up discussing how to parent and how to teach their kids at home. I make up games the parents can play with their children, teach them how to make everyday chores a learning experience. I'm so grateful these parents are open to learning because the children remind me with a quick, amazing progress in class. Their parents are so thankful they bring homemade goodies to share. We all enjoy these in the after-school meetings where we play, eat, learn, and just have a good time. Somewhere along the years, Sylvia became devoutly religious. I saw this provided her focus, stability, guidance, solace, and comfort. Her spirituality provided her a frame of reference to bring up her children. She was a strict disciplinarian because she wanted her children to do well in life and be the best persons they could be. She retired from teaching after working for about 20 years, but unfortunately she did not enjoy her retirement for long because shortly thereafter she was diagnosed with cerebellum ataxia, which is a degenerative neurological illness similar to ALS. She became dependent on her family to help her with the most basic tasks. All the while, she held her head up high and accepted their help. Sylvia and I were very close. She had an incredible resolve to do the right thing. She was kind, she was good, and she was a gentle soul. She had a health regimen that included daily exercise, healthy diet, and a cheerful outlook. She happily shared her health secrets with anyone that was disposed to listen to her advice. There are no words to describe how much I miss and love you, Sylvia, my first closest friend. It's not often you can have such a good friend in a family member. Everyone will agree that our sister Sylvia left an indelible mark in our minds and our hearts.